Figuring out what you want your navigation for your website to look like can be a little bit of a mix of design, like what do you want it to look like, and also content in terms of how you want that to be organized. So this can definitely be an area that can be hard to kind of determine. Some people want to have everything up front, any piece of information that anyone could ever want up in that main navigation. They want to have their categories and a search bar and an email address and hours of operation and everything else. And then other people, maybe with a more minimal look, want to have something that is, just a logo, very clean, simple, maybe a transparent background when you scroll, and one of those minimal menus, like a hamburger menu that you have to click on to see the contents of. And those are very drastic, different ways to approach your main navigation. But you can also think about what items do you want to have in your main navigation, what do you want to have in your footer, and also what kind of menu functionality do you want to have. So do you want people to click on it and have to dig deeper? Do you want everything right there from the beginning? There's a lot of different styles in terms of how that looks and how you can kind of format things. You really want to make sure that you're focusing on the hierarchy of your content. So based on how your navigation looks, what are the most important parts of your site? What are you focused on? Where do you want people to go? So make sure that those are very easy to find and hopefully the most eye-catching in terms of being bold or prominent, but not like super in your face with like a phone number or anything like that. But then same with the footer. So often we see people with like a subscribe to my email. You might see links from the other site. You might see links to social media channels. So there's a lot of different things that you can use the footer for as well, instead of just dumping everything into your main header area. There's also things you can do in terms of like layering and stacking. So you might see people that have like a promotional banner, then they have their logo, then they have another banner. The thing with that is you just have to think about, now you're pushing your main content on the page further down. So if you're okay with that, that's fine. And then once you've kind of determined what kind of structure you want, also think about how that's going to translate to mobile. So now most of the time I would say, think about them as like different experiences. So if you look at this on your phone, all of a sudden is the person's like, scrolling and scrolling for ages to find out a different area of the site to go to? Or is there a way to kind of collapse it down, make things a little bit more organized and succinct, and make sure that all of the important information is easy for people to spot? And then test them out for both. There's a lot of different ways to approach it, handle it. I think important things that I think about are make sure that those links are, people know where they're gonna go. So if I click on something on your site, if you take me to another site, all of a sudden, for me, that's a bit of a red flag. So maybe find an indicator for when you go to an external site. If you're just doing a section that's curated of all different articles that come from one section, find ways to make sure that the site visitor starts to kind of understand, okay, if I click on something that looks like this, I'm going to go to a page that looks like this. Those kind of cues are really important. You don't want to start sending people all over the place. There needs to be a bit of guiding principles that kind of let you help navigate the person. And I always think that, try to keep it simple, and also try to keep it really focused on what you want them to do. And then you can always come back later and look at your analytics, see if people are clicking on the right things. And if there's areas that you think, hey, people aren't finding this content, maybe you can come up with a carousel or a way to highlight that on a different page that doesn't necessarily take up real estate in your main navigation.